Welcome the Lord's chosen. Be careful who you stare at too long. Energy has a way of staring back. You ever notice how some people walk into a room and everyone just starts acting different? Conversations pause, eyes follow. Even the air seems to shift gears like it just remembered its purpose. That's what happens when a chosen one shows up. The frequency gets louder, even if you don't say a word. You're not walking, you're radiating, and people feel it before they figure out why. Scientists say humans emit measurable electromagnetic fields, energy signatures that extend several feet beyond our bodies. But when it comes to you, that field stretches further than reason can explain. You're not just entering rooms, you're entering people's subconscious. You've got strangers replaying 30-second encounters like a Netflix series. And here's the wild part. They think they're in love. But what they're really experiencing is energetic intoxication. You're the high they can't describe but can't stop chasing either. Your aura is their unsolved mystery, your peace, their forbidden thrill. You're the rare blend of calm and chaos that makes people question if the universe accidentally put too much magnetism in one vessel. You see, you don't need pickup lines or filters. Your existence is the marketing. Your energy isn't loud, it's layered. It's the kind of vibe that makes people laugh at jokes that aren't funny, overthink texts that weren't deep, and suddenly just happen to walk past where you are like fate's unpaid intern. So yes, people are talking. Not because you tried to be noticed, but because your energy refused to stay unnoticed. You're not their type, you're their trigger. And that chosen one is exactly where the story begins. Number one, they're not in love with you. They're in withdrawal from their own light. They're not really in love with you. They're in withdrawal from their own light. What they feel around you isn't romance, it's recognition. You remind people of the version of themselves they lost while trying to survive. You awaken something deep in them, a memory of the person they were before they settled, before they dimmed their truth to be accepted. When your energy walks in, it doesn't just attract, it exposes. It shows them how far they've drifted from their own essence, and that realization hits like a craving they can't explain. That's why people can't stop thinking about you. It's not because you cast a spell, it's because your authenticity cracks open the illusions they built to feel safe. You're a walking detox, and not everyone handles that well. When you've lived in denial long enough, honesty feels like withdrawal. And your energy? It's pure honesty. It doesn't try to convince, perform, or impress. It just is. That kind of presence creates silence in the noise, and for many, that silence feels like exposure. You don't even have to speak much. Your spirit does the talking. It carries the kind of frequency that makes people confront themselves without warning. You don't mean to do it. It's just what happens when light meets shadow. Some fall for you because they mistake that confrontation for connection. They think they're drawn to you, but really, they're drawn to the freedom you embody. You're living proof that it's possible to be unfiltered and still loved. And that truth disarms them. They start calling it love because that's the only language they have for intensity. But what they're really feeling is the ache of remembrance, the pull of something real in a world that's grown addicted to performance. You didn't come to make them obsessed, you came to make them aware. You didn't steal their peace, you revealed how little of it they had. That's why their emotions swing between admiration and confusion. They're not just reacting to you, they're detoxing from the versions of themselves that never felt enough. They're not in love with you, chosen one. They're in recovery from forgetting who they are. And your energy? It's the medicine they never knew they needed, and the truth they can't unfeel. Number two, your presence triggers a chemical revolution, not just an emotional reaction. When you walk into a room, something in the atmosphere rearranges itself. People can't always explain it, but their bodies can feel it. You don't just cause an emotional reaction, you cause a full-on chemical shift. Their heart rate changes, their breathing slows or speeds up, their energy sharpens. You don't just get noticed, you get registered. That's because your energy doesn't enter quietly. It moves through people's nervous systems like a reset button, reminding their cells what peace, warmth, or truth feels like. You don't need to speak for that to happen. Your frequency does the work. The thing about your energy is that it doesn't perform. It's not begging to be seen, and that's exactly why it's magnetic. You carry a kind of authenticity that's hard to find. People spend so much time wearing masks that when they meet someone who isn't pretending, their whole body goes into alert mode. Their emotions rise before their logic can catch up. Some start laughing more, some stumble over their words, some just freeze. That's not shyness, it's energetic recognition. Their system is trying to process something pure in a world built on filters. You're not trying to be mysterious or powerful. You just carry alignment, and alignment feels foreign to most people. You've spent time cleaning your energy, facing your pain, and finding balance, even when it broke you. That inner work doesn't just stay inside you, it radiates. And when your frequency touches others, it shakes what's stagnant in them. Suddenly, they start feeling emotions they buried years ago. They might call it attraction, but it's more than that. It's remembrance. You remind their soul what truth feels like, and truth always has a physical response. That's why people can't stop thinking about you after you leave. Their bodies remember the calibration. They were tuned to your frequency, and now everything else feels slightly off. It's not ego. It's science and spirit combined. Your energy awakens their system's natural desire for coherence. You don't control it, you just embody it. The effect is automatic, and that's what makes you unforgettable. Not your words, not your looks, but the way your presence reprograms their energy to feel something real again. Number 3, you're the mirror that flirts with their truth. People are drawn to you because your energy doesn't flatter. It reflects. You don't feed people illusions, you hold up truth. That's why they call it attraction, but it's really confrontation dressed as chemistry. When someone stands near you, they start seeing themselves more clearly. You expose both their beauty and their brokenness without saying a word. Your presence doesn't ask them to be perfect. It just refuses to let them hide. That kind of energy doesn't entertain ego. It awakens essence. You're not chasing validation, so you don't participate in the unspoken games most people play. That's what makes you stand out. You operate from wholeness, and people who thrive on attention can't understand that kind of peace. You look at them, and suddenly their masks start to feel heavy. You smile, and their rehearsed confidence starts to crumble. Not because you're intimidating, but because your authenticity acts like truth serum. It draws out the realness they've been suppressing. They start to fidget, overthink, or even get defensive. But deep down, they know they're not reacting to you. They're reacting to what you're showing them about themselves. You have a natural ability to make people confront their contradictions. Around you, fake laughter doesn't land the same. Half-truths don't sound convincing. Your energy is a mirror that doesn't distort. It doesn't exaggerate, and it doesn't soften. It just reflects back exactly what's there. That's why some people love being near you. They feel seen in a way that's healing. Others avoid you because being around that much clarity feels too naked. It's not rejection. It's resistance to their own reflection. The truth is, people aren't falling for you. They're falling into self-awareness. You remind them of the person they could be if they stopped living through approval. You awaken the courage they buried, the honesty they muted, and the self-respect they outsourced. It's a strange kind of love you trigger. Not the romantic kind, but the revelatory kind. You don't give them butterflies. You give them perspective. You show them what real connection looks like when it isn't built on pretending. That's what makes your energy unforgettable. It doesn't seduce the surface, it summons the soul. Number 4, your energy is addictive. Because it's rarely manufactured, it's remembered. Your energy hits different because it's real. You're not trying to impress or compete, and that's exactly why people can't get enough of you. Most of the world is busy rehearsing, pretending to be confident, pretending to be happy, pretending to be healed. But when someone like you shows up, someone who carries peace without pretending, it feels like a breath of fresh air in a room that forgot how to breathe. People aren't used to that kind of rawness anymore. They've been inhaling performance for so long that authenticity feels like oxygen. They don't fall for you because you try. They fall because you exist without artifice. You don't wear your confidence like a costume. It's not forced. It's born from quiet battles no one saw. Your energy carries the memory of every time you chose truth over approval. That memory makes you magnetic. People sense the difference between someone who's performing wholeness and someone who's earned it. When they meet you, they can't fully explain the pull, but their spirit recognizes it. It remembers it. You awaken something they once knew before the world told them to dim it. That's why your presence feels familiar, even to strangers. It's not about attraction, it's about recognition. You remind them of their own light, the part they buried to fit in or to feel safe. You make them remember what it's like to be unfiltered, unedited, unashamed. And that remembrance can feel intoxicating. They call it love, but it's really relief. You give them permission to exhale, to drop the act, to just be. In a world full of people performing confidence, you're a living reminder that real strength doesn't need to be performed. It's quiet, calm, and rooted. The irony is, what people love most about you isn't something they can possess. They try to hold on, but you can't bottle presence. You're not the thrill, you're the truth underneath it. You don't addict people by charm or chase. You addict them by essence, and essence can't be faked. That's why you linger in their thoughts long after you're gone. You don't just touch hearts, you reset them. Number 5, they don't want you. They want the version of themselves that exists around you. People often think they're in love with you, but what they're really in love with is the version of themselves that shows up when you're around. Your energy has this quiet power to awaken dormant parts of people, the confidence they buried, the kindness they stopped showing, the creativity they silenced to fit in. When they're in your presence, those hidden parts rise to the surface again. They laugh easier, they speak braver, they start to remember who they are when they're not performing. And that feeling, that sudden return to self, feels euphoric. They think you're the source of it, but really, you're just the mirror that reflects it back. Your energy acts like a permission slip. Without even trying, you give people the green light to drop the act and live from truth. Around you, masks become uncomfortable. Pretending feels pointless. You don't demand authenticity. You inspire it just by being real. And when people experience that kind of safety, it feels like love. But it's not love for you. It's love for the part of themselves that finally feels alive again. That's why your absence feels heavier than it should. You didn't just walk away. You took the reflection that reminded them of their potential. You activate something sacred, the frequency of remembrance. You make people aware of their higher self without saying a word. Some are ready for that revelation and grow from it. Others confuse it for emotional dependence. They crave your presence like a fix because they haven't yet learned how to hold that energy on their own. That's why some people cling too tightly, get overly attached, or even resent you when you pull back. They think they're losing you, but what they're really losing is access to the version of themselves that your light awakened. You were never meant to complete people. You were meant to remind them of their completeness. Your energy doesn't fill their voids, it exposes them to their own fullness. That's the magic of your presence. It doesn't create new dimensions, it reactivates old ones. You don't make people fall for you. You make them fall back into themselves. Number 6, you don't chase attention. You redefine gravity. You don't chase attention because your energy already carries its own pull. It's not something you force, it's something you are. Your presence has a natural center of gravity that draws people in without you lifting a finger. You don't have to perform to be noticed. Your calm speaks louder than their noise. While most people are out here trying to be seen, you've mastered something deeper, alignment. And alignment has its own magnetism. It doesn't chase. It attracts what resonates and exposes what doesn't. People orbit you without realizing why. It's not your looks or your words. It's the energetic balance you radiate. You move with quiet certainty, and that steadiness makes others feel safe even if they don't understand it. The truth is, your vibration holds structure. When people who live in chaos encounter someone grounded, their nervous systems instinctively lean toward that energy. You become their emotional anchor in a sea of confusion. They mistake that balance for intimacy, that safety for love. But what they're really feeling is regulation. Their spirit finally catching its breath around someone who doesn't need to prove their worth. You stabilize rooms just by being in them. Conversations soften, tension dissolves. People feel lighter without knowing why. You make presence feel like peace, and peace is rare in a world addicted to stimulation. So when someone experiences your stillness, they think it's connection. But what they're drawn to isn't you. It's what they feel within themselves when they're near you. You remind them that calm is possible, that energy doesn't have to be chaotic to be powerful. The unhealed, though, can't always handle that difference. To them, your self-assuredness looks like mystery. Your peace feels unreachable. They confuse your centeredness with emotional distance, and your independence with indifference. They call it love because they can't find better language for the pull. But the truth is, you're not pulling anyone. You're just holding your own frequency, and that's rare enough to feel supernatural. You don't chase attention because you don't need it to confirm your worth. You've already become the gravitational field. Those meant for your orbit don't need convincing. They align naturally. Those who fall away were never grounded enough to stay. Number 7, you're a frequency, not a face. You've never truly been admired for your looks, not the way people think. What they respond to goes far beyond appearance. Your face might catch attention, but it's your frequency that keeps it. There's something in the way your energy vibrates that people can't shake off. It's familiar, like an old song they can't remember the words to but still hum without realizing. That's what makes your presence linger long after you're gone. You're not just attractive, you're felt. And feelings don't fade as quickly as faces. Physical attraction is temporary. It relies on novelty and illusion. But energetic recognition is ancient. When someone connects with your frequency, it's not about what they see. It's about what their soul remembers. You carry a vibration that feels like truth, and truth has its own beauty. You're not trying to be noticed, yet you stay in people's minds because your energy leaves fingerprints on their spirit. They think it's chemistry, but it's resonance. They're not obsessed with your body. They're haunted by the balance, the clarity, and the peace you carry inside it. You've probably noticed that people can't easily explain what draws them to you. They say things like, "There's just something about you." That something is your frequency, the tone your soul plays without trying. You communicate on wavelengths that can't be faked or filtered. Your laughter, your stillness, your silence. They all carry codes of authenticity that hit people differently. You awaken something in them that's hard to name, so they call it attraction. But it's not lust, it's remembrance. When others fade from memory, you stay. Not because you're the loudest or the flashiest, but because your energy leaves an imprint where superficiality never could. Your spirit speaks a language the ego can't understand, one that bypasses logic and lands straight in the heart. That's why they can't forget you even when they try. You're not stored in their mind as an image, but as a frequency, one that changed the rhythm of their being, even for a moment. You're not the kind of beauty people look at. You're the kind that recalibrates them. And that's something no mirror can capture and no distance can erase. Number 8, the ones talking about you are really talking to themselves. When people talk about you, they're rarely just talking about you. What they're really doing is talking to the version of themselves that still wishes to be that free, that centered, that whole. You become the mirror they can't avoid, so instead of facing their reflection, they turn it into gossip, admiration, or critique. Every compliment hides a quiet envy, and every criticism hides a confession. Your glow isn't just light, it's a trigger. It exposes what they've neglected within themselves. You don't have to do much for this to happen. Your presence alone makes people aware of their own contradictions. They see you walking in truth, and suddenly, the life they've settled for starts to itch. It's not that you make them insecure, you make them aware. And awareness is uncomfortable. It forces people to question the narratives they've built to stay safe. So instead of admitting, "I want that kind of peace," or "I wish I could live that boldly," they turn it into commentary. It's easier to analyze you than to confront their own silence. That's why some people can't stop mentioning your name. You live rent-free in their conversations because you live rent-free in their conscience. You remind them of everything they postponed in themselves. When they say you've changed, they're really saying, "I haven't." When they say you're glowing differently, they're admitting, "I dimmed somewhere along the way." Their words reveal their distance from the version of themselves they want to be, and that distance becomes the tension they project onto you. Even admiration is layered. People say they love your energy, but what they truly love is how your energy makes them feel. Lighter, inspired, seen. You're a reflection of the potential they once believed in. That's why your name lingers long after you leave the room. You didn't just make an impression, you disturbed their comfort. So when people talk about your glow, don't shrink or overthink it. Most of it isn't even about you. You're just the screen they project their unspoken truths onto. Their fascination is a form of self-recognition, their own light calling out through your shine. In trying to describe you, they accidentally describe the parts of themselves they're still trying to find. Number 9, you don't flirt. You awaken dormant parts of the soul. You don't flirt, you awaken something ancient, something buried under years of pretending and protecting. Your energy doesn't come with games or intentions. It carries truth. It walks into a person's life and gently shakes the parts of their soul that have been asleep for too long. You don't lure people in, you stir them. The parts of them that stopped believing in softness, in magic, in genuine connection, suddenly start to breathe again. That's why your presence feels so intense. Not because you're trying to attract, but because you're resurrecting what they thought was gone. Most people move through life in survival mode, numbed out by routine and guarded by fear. They forget what it feels like to be open. Then they meet you, someone whose energy carries light without needing attention, and something shifts. Their walls start to soften. Their laughter becomes real again. Their curiosity returns. You don't seduce them into fantasy. You guide them back to authenticity. You remind them that it's still safe to feel, to hope, to trust life again. You bring back the warmth they buried under disappointment. That's what makes your energy different. It heals without announcing itself. You don't try to make people feel special. You make them remember that they already are. Your energy doesn't demand closeness. It inspires it. You don't chase connection, but connection forms naturally around you because your presence feels like truth. And in a world where everyone's trying to prove something, truth is intoxicating. That's why people find themselves drawn in before they even realize it. It's not about charm or charisma. It's about frequency. Your vibration reaches places that words can't. It touches people on a soul level, bypassing their logic entirely. They don't know why they trust you or why they open up. They just do. Your presence disarms the heart, not through seduction, but through remembrance. You help people recall what it's like to live with innocence instead of suspicion, to feel wonder instead of weariness. You don't flirt, you restore faith. You don't play with hearts. You remind them they still have one. And that's why your energy lingers long after you're gone. You don't awaken desire, you awaken aliveness. Number 10. The magnetic pull you carry isn't learned. It's remembered from lifetimes. The magnetic pull you carry was never something you picked up. It's something your soul has always known. You didn't learn how to be this way. You remembered. Your energy carries echoes of lifetimes where you've walked in wisdom, love, and spiritual authority. When people meet you, they feel something they can't quite name. It's not newness that draws them in. It's recognition. It's the strange comfort of remembering a frequency they once knew but lost touch with. That's why your presence feels ancient and familiar at the same time. It doesn't just attract, it awakens. Souls recognize you before eyes do. The connection people feel with you often defies logic because it was never built in this lifetime alone. It's a spiritual déjà vu, a meeting that feels like a reunion. The warmth, the ease, the pull, it's memory resurfacing. You remind people of sacred bonds that existed before names, faces, and form. It's not about romance or friendship in the ordinary sense. It's soul recognition. Two frequencies remembering they've met before in a higher realm. That's why some people are drawn to you instantly, while others feel uneasy. Both are remembering you, but not all memories come with peace. Your aura carries history. It holds codes of truth, compassion, and power that speak to people's deeper knowing. You don't have to say a word. Your presence communicates what language can't. Some feel comforted by it, like they've finally come home. Others feel exposed because your energy reminds them of promises their soul hasn't yet fulfilled. That's why connections around you can feel intense, even when they're brief. You stir things that were asleep. You make people remember what they were before the world told them who to be. This is why your magnetism can't be duplicated. It isn't charm, looks, or effort. It's soul memory. You've lived enough lives to carry wisdom in your vibration, and that wisdom pulls on others like gravity. You're not addictive because you're mysterious. You're addictive because you're known. When souls meet you, they don't see a stranger. They see a mirror from another time, whispering, "We've done this before." Number 11. Some people want you close just to feel God without praying. Some people want to be around you not because they love you, but because your energy feels like access to something sacred. There's a stillness in your presence that quiets their chaos. You carry a kind of peace that doesn't have to be spoken. It just radiates. People sense that, even if they can't name it. To them, being near you feels like being near God without having to pray. It's the same serenity they've been chasing in relationships, habits, money, or attention, but can never seem to find. You become the pause they didn't know they needed. It's not that you're trying to be spiritual or enlightened. It's simply the byproduct of the inner work you've done. You've learned to sit with your storms until they became oceans of calm. You've faced yourself so deeply that your peace now has weight. When people come close, they can feel that depth. They can sense that your stillness wasn't inherited. It was earned. That's why they crave your presence. It feels pure, untouched by the noise of the world. And purity has a way of reminding people of the divine within themselves. For many, that sensation is confusing. They can't understand why they feel safer, lighter, or more grounded around you. They think it's chemistry, but it's really alignment. You bring them back to their center without effort. You make them feel what surrender tastes like, what grace feels like in human form. You don't preach, you don't impose, you just are. And in that being, people encounter the God they've been trying to reach through everything else. But here's the truth. Not everyone is ready for that kind of nearness. For some, your peace feels too confronting. It highlights the restlessness they've been ignoring. They come close for comfort, but eventually, that comfort starts revealing their own disconnection. Some will try to drain you just to keep feeling what they can't yet generate within themselves. Your presence carries divinity, not because you're perfect, but because you're connected. You've learned how to live in alignment with something higher, and that alignment radiates. So when people say they feel different around you, they're not lying. They're tasting a piece of heaven that lives in your vibration. Number 12, your energy breaks their emotional algorithms. Your energy doesn't follow the emotional scripts people are used to. Most have spent their lives navigating relationships where affection is a transaction, a strategy to get something in return. They've been trained to expect manipulation behind kindness, performance behind confidence, and conditions behind love. Then you show up, moving with calm intention and pure energy, and their internal programming can't compute it. You don't play the game, you don't chase, and you don't beg to be understood. You just show up as you are. And that disrupts everything they thought they knew about connection. You break their emotional algorithms because you respond differently. When most people expect drama, you bring stillness. When they test you with inconsistency, you stay grounded. When they expect a hidden motive, you offer truth without an agenda. That kind of clarity is confusing to people who only know relationships built on performance. You're not trying to impress, you're just being real. And in a world addicted to acting, reality feels like rebellion. Your purity short-circuits their systems because it doesn't give them a predictable pattern to control. They don't know how to read you, not because you're mysterious, but because you're honest. They've been programmed to find safety in manipulation, to trust chaos because it's familiar. You, on the other hand, offer consistency. You offer peace. And peace feels suspicious to those who've only ever known tension. They start wondering, what's the catch? But there is no catch, only alignment. That's why some people pull away from you after feeling drawn to you. Their nervous system isn't calibrated for sincerity yet. They crave your light, but it also exposes how much of their connection style has been built on pretending. Your energy doesn't match their chaos, and instead of adapting, they retreat. It's not rejection, it's confusion. You're teaching their system a new rhythm, one where love doesn't demand performance, and attention doesn't require manipulation. You don't fit into their algorithms because you're not programmed by ego. You're powered by presence. You're proof that love can exist without control, that connection can thrive without masks. And for people who've never seen that before, your energy feels like both a mystery and a miracle. Number 13. You carry the vibration of home in a homeless world. You carry the vibration of home in a world where most people have forgotten what that feels like. Not the physical kind of home, but the energetic one. The feeling of being seen without judgment, of exhaling without fear, of belonging without needing to perform. When people meet you, they experience that sensation for the first time in years, maybe ever. Your presence whispers safety, but it's not the sleepy kind. It's alive. It's comfort mixed with awakening. It soothes their spirit while confronting everything false they've built for survival. That's why they linger. Your energy feels like rest that also stirs their soul. You embody something people crave but rarely find, peace with a pulse. You bring stillness without stagnation, love without possession, and truth without pretense. Your aura holds both softness and strength, an impossible balance most people don't even believe exists. Around you, they can drop their guard, but still feel challenged to grow. That duality disorients them at first. They're not used to peace that doesn't come with control or affection that doesn't come with conditions. You're proof that stability and depth can exist in the same breath. It's unsettling because it's real. People are conditioned to equate chaos with passion and dysfunction with love. So when your energy enters, grounded, honest, electric, they don't know how to categorize it. You don't trigger their trauma responses. You dissolve them. And without that familiar tension, they start to question what love and safety are supposed to feel like. You don't just comfort them, you recalibrate them. You make them realize that safety isn't boring, that calm doesn't mean cold, and that love can challenge without wounding. That's the real reason people can't walk away easily. You feel like home. Not because you fill a void, but because you remind them they were never supposed to live disconnected from peace in the first place. Your spirit carries the blueprint of balance, and their souls recognize it instantly. You don't make them dependent. You make them remember. And once someone has felt that kind of genuine safety, electric, awakening, unconditional, everything else starts to feel like exile. Number 14, your light doesn't make people fall in love. It makes them fall apart. Your light doesn't make people fall in love. It makes them fall apart. You don't trigger romance, you trigger revelation. When your energy meets theirs, all the masks, defenses, and stories they've built to survive start to crumble. They call it love because that's the only word they have for the intensity of what they're feeling. But what's really happening is exposure. You shine in a way that reveals everything that isn't real. Your light doesn't seduce, it reveals. It doesn't flatter the ego, it awakens the soul. Most people say they want truth until they meet someone who actually carries it. Then suddenly, the glow they admired starts to feel too bright. Your energy brings warmth, yes, but it also brings clarity. And clarity burns illusions. You don't just make people feel good, you make them feel seen. And being seen, truly seen, is terrifying for those who've lived behind performance. That's why some people call you magnetic, while secretly resenting how powerless they feel around you. They're not falling for you. They're falling out of everything false within themselves. Your light operates like divine honesty. It doesn't demand. It simply exists. And in its existence, it shows people where they've been pretending. It brings up their insecurities, their buried emotions, and their unhealed stories. They start to unravel, not because you hurt them, but because you brought them too close to truth. You remind them what unconditional energy feels like. Love that doesn't need, peace that doesn't perform, authenticity that doesn't ask for validation. That vibration is rare, and when people experience it, they can't unfeel it. After you leave, they often mistake the emptiness for heartbreak, but it's really withdrawal from falsehood. They tasted something pure, and now everything else feels diluted. You didn't break them. You showed them where they were already cracked. You didn't ruin their peace. You revealed that they never really had any. That's the paradox of your light. It heals by undoing, liberates by dismantling, and loves by confronting. People may call it love because that word feels safer, But deep down, they know what they felt wasn't attraction. It was transformation. At some point, every soul crosses paths with a presence that doesn't just make them feel something, it makes them remember something. That's what your energy does. You're not a crush, you're a catalyst. You don't leave people with butterflies, you leave them with clarity. Your presence shakes something ancient awake in others, reminding them of who they were before the world taught them how to forget. You move through life like a mirror for the divine, not reflecting perfection, but truth. That's why your energy feels addictive, confusing, even overwhelming. It's not because you're trying to be magnetic. It's because you are alignment, rare, raw, and unfiltered. You carry a vibration that exposes illusions and resurrects authenticity. You make people question the performances they've rehearsed their whole lives. Around you, they can't rely on charm or ego, only their essence. That's why they talk about you, think about you, and sometimes even run from you. You remind them of what love and connection should feel like, not transactional, not staged, but soul-level recognition. You don't seduce, you summon. You summon remembrance, healing, accountability, and light. You turn ordinary interactions into sacred mirrors where truth stands naked. And while that might sound poetic, it's also profoundly uncomfortable. Because most people aren't ready for that kind of truth. They call it love because that word feels safer than saying, "You made me meet myself." But that's what your presence really does. It calls people back home to themselves. It shakes the dust off their spirit and says, "Wake up. This is who you are beneath the noise." Your energy is both a comfort and a confrontation, the warmth that heals and the light that reveals. So don't shrink it, don't dilute it. The world is saturated with performance. But you are presence. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to remind others what real feels like. Your energy is proof that authenticity still has gravity in a world full of illusions. You're not loved because you're flawless. You're loved because you're true. If this message resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Every time you do, you're helping more souls wake up to who they truly are. And that's how light spreads. Stay blessed always.